can you please talk about your understanding about the need to prepare ourselves to be able to meditate?
That's no small question there.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I think really the first step in preparation for it is living a bold life. That, Justin's talked about this idea of a boomerang going out, like we're born and we go out and we learn languages, we learn how to ride a bike, we learn how all these, go on our first date, and like that we live a life of boldness and exploration, and then at some point we're ready to make a turnaround and start coming back and towards that which gave us life. And so I see meditation as that, the culmination, the experience of meditation is really touching into that where it all came from. And so after that first initial phase is more or less finished, or a person has lived a relatively bold life and they're feeling dissatisfied with the repetitions of what ordinary life can bring, and they start making that turn, then the preparation changes. And instead of in the outward journey, we're trying to bolster ourselves up, we're trying to get to feel confident so that we'll try new things, and I can do this and I can do that. And on the return journey, it's different. It's actually the beginning of disassembling that, I was going to say fortress, but that person that we built up. It's a refining and a re-examination and a becoming smaller as we approach this thing that's, to call it a thing, the energy that keeps us alive is really ungrokkable. It's unfathomable in its power and its creativity and its output. It's beyond what we can conceive of, really. So that's a huge challenge to come under that, even though it is what is, that energy that fires the sun, that fires all the suns, that breathes us, that gives us thoughts and emotions, and it has been, will be, and it just will always be. To come under it is recognizing our smallness and our dependence on that energy, and that's a huge challenge for an American we're taught, get bigger, get competent, become independent, acquire money so you don't have to need anybody's help and like that. So that turn in that journey is really a challenge. So the preparation to become even a candidate where we can actually sit and face in the direction of that energy that keeps us alive, and be humble enough and small enough and out of the way enough so that we can witness it, that takes a lot. And there's methods for slowing down and for being able to do one thing at a time, but one crucial ingredient in that formula is being around someone who is clearly a finer human being than I am, than we are, and witnessing that, not just having the idea, oh, Jesus was a finer person or Buddha was a finer person, but having somebody in daily life where you bump up against, and you might feel like you're bumping up against the person like this, but after a while you realize, wow, they are looking at life and seeing it in thousands of more pixels than what I can actually make out in my awareness. Or they're noticing the details of what a person says and what they don't say, or what the possibilities that, like, say something happens where you're like, oh, I got to go to town and get my car fixed, and that person can see 10 other possibilities or 50 other possibilities, and I would only come up with one, but they're not limited by the way it's been done before. They're not limited by fear. They're not limited by lack of creativity. Their actions aren't determined by restlessness. And so the whole world opens up to a finer way of being is possible to manifest. And also I'm obviously thinking of Justin. I've lived around him for a number of years, and he just never misses a beat. And really you almost need another word for it. If we're human, then he's something else. But I think of it more like we're trying to become human. We're trying to uncover our humanness in this return journey, and he's already made that journey, and his humanness is in its full potential. And so this experience of being around him and feeling my smallness in relation to his humanity and his consciousness and his ability to see what's needed is a preparation for standing under that even bigger force of that which keeps us alive. It's like a training ground to feel like it's okay. Not only is it okay, but it's a beautiful place to be, to recognize, wow, there is so much more than my capacity. Someone is more of a human being than me. There is fineness beyond what I know. And then when it comes to time to meditate and be under the light and the sound and leave myself out of the equation, there's been some preparation of recognizing my smallness in relation to something else. And I think that is a necessity in order to meditate. You have to have that. In my experience, I have to have that relationship, because if that relationship is not available to you, how are you going to get smaller? How are you in this return journey? How is meditation not going to be an accomplishment? Yes, I'm capable of doing this thing, because in this relationship where someone is so clearly more capable and more human than this individual, and you become friends with the idea and the feeling of being humbled in that way, you just in this person, you can't trick this person, because there's no hope in tricking meditation. You can't trick that which creates it all. That's untrickable for sure. So I don't know. There's a lot to say on that topic. That's what I have to say right now.
Thank you. How's it been for you to have Justin as your teacher and be able to live with him and learn from him, and whatever you can say about Justin being your teacher?
Well, I am in a lot of ways a typical American guy who, through life circumstances, grew up with a fairly high degree of self-confidence and encouragement to go out and do whatever I wanted to do and be a man and be successful and like that. And that was what I was given, and I very much encompassed that, or took that on. And through knowing Justin, I've had the opportunity to continue to do that, and at the same time learn what it is to stand here to someone else, and stand here to another man, and here in the sense of me recognizing over time, but through a lot of moments and a lot of consistency of being around him, living with him for I don't know, maybe 19, 20 years, something like that. A lot of moments of seeing how consistent and more human he is than I am. The opportunity to learn to come under and feel good about that, and feel like I can. It's a okay place to go, and it's okay to have my heart lead me in that direction, and that what probably looked very scary at the beginning in terms of making that admission that this person is a more advanced human being than I am, and I would like to aspire to be like that and to have those qualities that I've had the opportunity to discover my heart in that and uncover my heart through that, and I feel very grateful for that. I don't know if that would have been possible otherwise. I don't think in that way, unique way that it is with Justin, the way I feel about him, that it would be possible otherwise. And then the thing that's amazing is in the midst of that, of those feelings, I do all this masculine stuff with him, like watch football and chop wood and whatever, travel, talk about stock market, whatever my concept of masculinity or things I like to do. I've been able to do that and meet him there, and also see him for who he is in the midst of that. And the aspect that I find interesting is that other teachers that I've seen, whether it's on video or a few in person or read about, typically the distinction between teacher and student is made more clear in terms of appearance and in terms of maybe separation, in terms of living separately or further away or whatever. But with Justin's an American guru, and I'm an American student. It's an American school where we sing an American tune, and the challenge has been to find that reverence and that sweet feeling in the midst of doing something that looks very ordinary that you would do with anybody else. And it's maybe more difficult to find because the football and the guru are sitting, the football watcher and the guru are sitting right next to me, and they're both there, they're both in existence, and it can be easily confused, like, no, we're watching football now, that's not happening. But that is happening, and I've learned to feel that in those moments as well as the moments where it looks like it's more obvious. And I've very much benefited from living with him, traveling with him, living with him for so long, because all the moments of life get covered over time, and the learning and the exploration and the interesting points of view can crop up at any moment. And to find a teacher and a system that makes use of ordinary life and in fact encourages those moments of ordinary life to learn, so to where it's not compartmentalized to, when I go on the retreat I'll feel this way, or on Sunday I'll feel this way, or once a year I'll feel this way. It's any moment that of ordinary life, that moment, that opportunity is there to feel what I'm trying to describe by feeling under. And in my understanding, we have to have a human being. We're human beings. We have to have a human being that plays this role for us to be here in relation to grace or God or whatever. We need an intermediary. And so having come where I came from, in the culture that I grew up in, I feel very fortunate to have learned, been able to, for however you want to call it, learn to be here and to be in love with being here.
Talk about the difference between the wisdom that you've known in your life and that you've respected, and the new wisdom that you are, let's say that you respected and still respect, but the new wisdom that you are now learning. Can you talk about the difference between?
I can. I come from a family of psychologists. My mom was a marriage, family, child counselor. My father was a psychiatrist. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology, and psychology was like a big part of what I thought was kind of the answer to solving my problems and solving other people's problems. And it really is based on looking at the past and looking at problems in the past and trying to work them out, so you can like let go of them and go forward without your problems anymore. And what I learned when I came here is that all of my problems are in the present moment. In every moment I'm in, my true self will show, and there is a possibility to resolve everything right here and right now. The wisdom I had before was that, hey, look at the past, dwell on the past, and the wisdom I have now is look at the present, be in the present, and examine what's there. Examine what's really there. And when before I first came here, I considered myself a good listener, a present person, somebody who had the possibility to really be helpful to people. And when I came here, I saw that I was a terrible listener. That I talked to myself all the time while other people thought I was listening to them. And I didn't see it before, but I would manipulate them into thinking I was this excellent listener. I would nod and smile and like be right there with them. But in my mind, I was talking to myself and I was thinking, I wonder if they thought of this, I wonder if they thought of this. And I couldn't repeat back, a half a sentence about what was just said for a lot of what I was listening to. And I had people here show me that. And they didn't show me in any kind of mean way. They just kind of showed up with a mirror and said, hey, a metaphorical mirror, and said, hey, do you see that you're selling the idea that you're listening, but you're not? Can you even repeat back what was just said? I would think, I don't remember. Why can't I remember? And it occurred to me, no, I'm not listening. And it took me a while to even accept that I could be a bad listener after so much of my wisdom in the psychological world told me that I was. Because eye contact with them, nodding, the whole deal. And yeah, I've learned to be, the wisdom I had before was try to stay on top and really be on top of the conversation and direct it and all this kind of stuff. And here, what I've learned is the possibility of being under as a safe and okay place to be under somebody talking. And if I'm under them, then I don't need to think necessarily. I don't need to come up with a cool answer because to look good. What would life be like if I didn't have to look good? And that's the new wisdom I'm learning here. What is it like to be me when I don't have to look good for anybody else? And this fresh new person is slowly emerging from me, and it feels incredible, and it's still in process, and I still manipulate and try to get on top sometimes, and I'm still a bad listener much of the time, but the improvement since I've been here has been dramatic, and I feel like I've been given the opportunity in the middle of my life to transform as a human being, and that was never possible with anything else. I've taken workshops, I've taken classes, I'm an NLP master, all kinds of psychological stuff. Nothing has done it for me. I'm experiencing real, tangible change in who I am as a person, and feeling a sense of, it's not happiness, it's not joy, but it's like peace inside of my mind, inside of my body. And it's making me a better human being, and I'm incredibly grateful to my teacher.
It looks to me like some chords, some strings are being struck,
Plucked.
when I hear my teacher speaks, for example, under various circumstances. Could be speak to me, speak to somebody else, speak at a meeting, and how he's right on. It's like I have something that in me that aligns with that and knows this is really how it is. And so there are moments where that's so clear that I want what he has. I want to be able to get closer to what he has, what he is. And even though other parts of me are not interested, so it's a play between the parts that are interested and the parts that are not. But I think that the parts that are interested are the finest places in me, and in that sense they are like very special. And the frequency of them being plucked, I would like to have that increased. Even if the frequency is much less than my feeling totally practical and not spiritual. So even if the frequency of feeling that truth is smaller, they're still higher. They still score higher. And that is very, it means something to me.
Also, I'm thinking something that I verified for myself. It takes a big team because it's a big mountain. So we've used the term big mountain, big team. What do you see as the upsides to having a team and the downsides that you have found at from having a team?
I'll start with the downside. The downside is looking to imitate what you see and having interpretation of this is what I need to look like as well. That's a real downside for me and for anyone, I think. And that would this is not a true seeker of truth. It's belonging, or, it's a facade, a face, a mask. And the upside is that there are people that know or have a higher state of being that I have, and that know of the steps that took them there, and they can see things about me in this case. They can help me see things. And I think we all fluctuate, and it's not that somebody who's been here longer will necessarily have the best answer, but we all can be in a different state of being at any time and see the truth. And when someone one of us sees the truth and expresses it, it's everyone can benefit.
Can you talk about the value that you've gotten by spending some time living on your own?
Yeah, I knew I needed to do it, and I remember being encouraged to do it, but very subtly. Like, something in me knew it would be a good thing for me. For one, I'd never lived by myself. The other thing I knew about myself was I got into spiritual life at a young age, and I knew that I had missed out on a lot of life stuff. I tried to skip over things by jumping into the spiritual school and spiritual ideas. So I knew I had missed some stuff. And so living by myself, I came to find that I'm okay by myself. I've also come to appreciate even one other person to work stuff out with, because I can see a fair amount about myself, but when there's another person, at least even one other person around, things that you think you're over, I'm good with, and something gets triggered by the other person, I have to work it out. I can see, like, well, no, there's discord there. I'm not clean, you know. I mean, because if you're by yourself, you know, you can think you're pretty clean, and it's nice to see that doesn't work that way. You still have to be in the world. You still have to be able to be okay in any situation, at least see what's going on. So I have a much better appreciation for other people, and probably better appreciation for this working together. I used to think the spiritual path was a solo path, and I'm seeing that. I mean, Justin has said it's a team sport, and I kind of like, yeah, right? I mean, really? But it's been more. I see that now because I see what I can do by myself, and I can only do so much, and I need those other reflections, those other people. I need to see who I am when they're showing up that looks like me. I'm seeing what people can do that I can't do, and rather than be confronted by it, rather than try to push it away. So, I think I've come with just a bigger appreciation for people, and even people. Well, no, especially people who are wanting to discover stuff about themselves, and are using these tools and are willing to explore these ideas and know the ideas, and there's so much. It's like geometrically, the amount of growth that can happen is geometrical versus what a person could do by themselves. And it's still hard for me to believe, because everything I heard about spiritual life, especially these gurus who go off to the mountains and sit by themselves, and it was like it was in there. And of course, for someone who wanted to hide from the world, it was going to be attractive. And I pretty much I did 3 years by myself, and I pretty much see what I can do. And I've reached a limit. I can't proceed anymore without other people. So that's a good thing for me to know. I mean, it's a good thing to know for yourself what you can do and what you can't, because then rather than dismiss other people, there's going to be some appreciation there, because fuck, you just can't do it. I'm stuck without other people. Never would have come to that. They're always a pain in the ass. Yeah. In fact, I used to do this Sartre quote, "Other people are hell." And that was my mantra, which I'm sure other people have too. But man, it's nice to see a different side of that one. So, yeah.
Actually, I did, and it's kind of hard to put into words, really. I had this crazy, like, incredible talk with Justin, actually, and he was talking to me about, like, how much we try to control our lives. And one of the things that I really got was, like, I think I'm having these, like, authentic moments with people, and, you know, maybe I get into, like, a disagreement with my friend, or maybe I'm trying to give her a compliment, and I have this idea that I'm having this authentic and honest interaction with her, but there's an element to it that's very, like, I'm in control about it, right? It's like pre-planned. I think of all the things I want to say, you know? And I realized, like, how authentic could my words actually be if
I'm pre-planning the things that I say. So it really, like, what I got out of kind of my conversations with people is that, like, I could hold myself up to a higher standard of authenticity and honesty. And really, that requires letting go rather than being in control and planning everything I'm going to say, or even like sitting around and imagining all the honest things I could say. I could just be honest. I could just say whatever the hell is on my mind. And that speaking could be from some depth, from some like something in my heart, rather than something that is intellectually like conceived, you know. And maybe the words might be the same, you know. Maybe I could tell somebody, I could tell Erin how much I appreciate her friendship, for example. But there's something about it that's like, if I had planned it and rehearsed it and executed it perfectly, it wouldn't be the same as if it just fell out of my mouth, you know, in a moment where I felt it. And I think that if I could take that little idea, that little like lesson I got, and maybe apply it to not only the things I say to people, but my approach to like so many things in life, from playing music with friends, to my artwork, to my writing, to the way I interacted with my, you know, housemates or my family. I think that life could become more of an exploration than like me trying to arrive at a destination that I have somehow imagined and put together in my head. And so I think in that way, one of the things I've gotten just in general in the time that I've been hanging out with everyone here is that like I have these ideas around truth or love, or right or wrong, and it's kind of better for me to think about it as a direction than like a thing to be arrived at. You know, to approach friendship as if it were a direction that I'm going in, maybe to get closer to someone, to get to know them better, to feel their lives, and to go in that direction to explore what friendship could be rather than make it what I think it is, what it should be, or what I've been taught for it to be. Mm-hmm. I think there's like lots of things in life that could be, that I could think of as a direction rather than as like a destination. And so, yeah, that's one of the things I got this week from hanging out with people and listening to Satsang and talking to Justin, that kind of thing.